Like, in EU LCS, I won 2 times in a row, and LCK, I had 1 win, 1 for second places. I mean, it's still really great. But here is like my maximum is like 3rd places. So it's like, it's what embarrassing. But I just need to keep trying hard and keep trying and never give up.
And welcome back to the NALCS 3rd place match. Beautiful Miami Beach plays host to us here this weekend, and it has been absolutely wonderful being here. For all the locals, you guys are lucky. For all of us visiting, it's been great to be here as well. Welcome back. Of course, match point for Echo Fox. A 30-minute snowball and a 20-minute absolute stomp so far have gotten us here.
Yeah, Echo Fox definitely looking like they have something to prove, that they want to get to Rift Rivals, get that international experience.
Yeah, and I mean, Huni said it. He has to just keep trying. He has to keep working at it. And this is a team that definitely does have a lot of promise. There's things that they can improve upon, and they're just kind of building towards those goals.
As the Champs Link begins here for this one, we'll see if they're going to be able to close out the series or if the reverse sweep can come through for Clutch Gaming. We heard Jap talk about it a little bit on the analyst desk about the experience of the Echo Fox players. Clutch Gaming, what's up?
Well, I just want to say, game number 1, Lyra didn't get to play. Game number 2, Lyra didn't really get to play even more. So game number 3, Clutch Gaming just need to let Lyra at least try and play League of Legends here. At least in the opening, and they do it! Banned Olaf!
They banned Olaf, and Azir comes through, the Emperor, one of Phoenix's most notable champions, and Peppervin, of course, will be knocked off of that one, being that it was taken away. See if he's got the counter.
I also like that they still got the Trundle ban out, at least, from Echo Fox, because they weren't willing to play Skarner into that, perhaps, and Lyra is going to get still one of his best champions. He'll be on the Skarner. He won't be into the Olaf. Expecting maybe something like a Zac here from Dardoch, which he's still very, very good on.
Interesting they're taking the Varus over the Caitlyn now, actually. I don't see that one being banned, so a lot of pretty significant changes there as the Skarner comes through. Such wanted a quick answer, and once again, just right away onto this Camille. Now, there are a lot of these normal tanks left up, though. The Ornn and the Scion from before are options.
Yeah, and the Sejuani actually pairs very well with the Camille as well, since everyone's always looking at the Dardoch and Huni combination, right? Sejuani passive can be stacked up by melee champions. Camille has a long-range engage, so there is still the availability of playing that strategy of through jungle and top side for them. But now they also have Phoenix Azir to carry in the late game. So this is an Echo Fox that's not on the same sort of timeline where they have to be rushed. We are seeing an adaptation from both sides when faced with the change in bans.
Yeah, I'm going to be really interested to see if Clutch also is going to go for something more of an engaged type support as well, because they have played 2 pretty passive lanes. You grab the Varus instead of the Caitlyn. That to me is saying, hey, you want some engage with that AD carry. They're going to be able to perhaps ban away Ashe and Caitlyn. And if you can grab an engagey support on top of that, then there's a lot of playmaking potential down there. And that has been one of the strengths of Clutch all year long.
I definitely agree, and with a Skarner into a Sejuani pick, you actually have a faster clear on Clutch Gaming side now. So Lyra, not only does he get to play, but he's also going to be on, like you said, Freak, one of his favorite champions, and have a clear speed that he can get to that level 6, start using that crowd control to make plays.
So obvious setup for Thresh right here with the Morgana ban coming through on Clutch's side. Orianna gets taken out, so the famous Hako Thresh is now available, but that Caitlyn is up for all take play something safe in the back line.
It definitely is up, but Tahm Kench is also, so it looks like they are just going to instead go towards the Braum. A big tank line, but this does kind of somewhat limit your options, I think, as far as mid lane goes, because you have 3 relatively low damage tanks. You need someone who is pretty high DPS, and then I'm looking at something like a Cassio, which isn't the greatest matchup into Azir.
Yeah, I mean, at least you have an insane amount of crowd control on the Clutch Gaming side. Everybody going to be able to lend some help there in playmaking, and Echo Fox go back to the nerfed Kalista here for the bottom lane that they did not find success with.
And that is with Caitlyn available as the option. They consider that one to be better here. And it's going to be Zoe coming back here for Peppervin, one of the players who did still stick around on the champion after the rebuffs came through somewhat recently. We have seen it as well over in Europe, but still looks pretty good as a champion.
It definitely can, and I think it can be a pretty good matchup into Azir specifically. Yeah. But where I do think it really struggles is the later stages, right? If you do get to the really tanky stage where Sejuani and Tahm Kench is eating people out of the Sleepy Bubble Trouble and these sorts of things, it can be really difficult to have enough DPS to actually punch through a lot of these members. So much of that emphasis of damage is going to have to come from Apollo. Like, he's going to have to do a lot of the heavy lifting.
Or they've got to find a way to snowball in the early to mid game, which has not been Clutch's strength so far. It's been the one for Echo Fox. Well, lineups are on your screen right now. Will this be the final game? It's going to be the last match Coach Inero needs to run his team through until the summer split starts. Or will we have a game 4? David Lim and the rest of Clutch Gaming hoping to find a reverse sweep here after getting stomped in 50 minutes, 2-0 so far. See if they can find themselves 3 game wins. Camille back on the line, this time though against Orin in a matchup that had went well for Liquid when they were in this one last week. We'll see if Clutch can find that same success here. Echo Fox and Clutch Gaming in a game 3. The Summoners Rift is ready. The players are as well. Let's see what they can find for us here.
Yeah, I have to agree on that topside matchup. Solo should feel pretty comfortable, especially considering Lyra here on the Skarner should be moving around very quickly. However, Dardoch has been very good at circumventing enemy vision and turning things like that. And if the Sejuani does get up there, like we said, that can be a chain stun, that can be a kill for Huni, and he'll try and beat his 10-minute Trinity Force timer, but that's going to be hard to do.
Definitely will. And it is one of those things where I certainly agree. I think that Ornn is a pretty good matchup into the Camille. But if Huni gets enough ahead, it doesn't really matter, right? But there are some pretty nice interactions. You know, Bellows Breath, being able to use that, to kind of immune the hookshot and these sorts of things coming through can work out quite well.
And we'll see what comes through in this one. Real quick update, we have a quick game pause as our one of our observers couldn't connect into the game, had a power loss, I believe it was. So getting the computer back up, getting the connection back in, and we should be no problem. The players loaded in, no problem. We'll get back into the game in a couple of minutes. Otherwise, we can talk about what's been going on so far in this series, what's going on into this game. Talk about early game pressure. Certainly not the same look here for Echo Fox. I feel like the 2-on-2 in the bot lane should be better for Clutch. And as we've seen all those early Olaf Drake takes, winning 2-on-2 in the bottom lane, a really powerful level 4 jungler like Olaf or Skarner in this case, and it feels like maybe Clutch can get those early Drakes and get the early pressure happening on their side now.
We'll definitely see, especially level 1s I like with Skarner, when the team with the Skarner goes out and tries to get the Spires that are around the Scuttle Crabs, because that can also help with Skarner getting ahead of the enemy jungle, because it makes it so much easier to take those, and you can't be tracked as easily whenever you're going over and taking those. That being said, this bottom side matchup does feel like there's going to have to be some sort of gank or kill first before we see the early dragon. And I don't feel like we're going to see someone just starting it straight up like level 5 and calling them over. But again, it's going to be up to the junglers.
Yeah, I mean, it's really hard to know, too, because there has been such crazy level 1s in this series, right? And there is not an Olaf, so it's less likely that we will get that. But, all kind of well-laid plans were thrown out the window after level 1 last game, and certainly could be the case again this time. It's also pretty interesting to see that Altec is actually running Summoner's Spellbook on Kalista. So that is very atypical. Almost always you see lethal tempo or press the attack. This is definitely not a laning-focused type of thing, but you can swap over to cleanse later, which is really nice, I think, against Sleepy Bubble Trouble and these sorts of things. So it is more kind of geared towards the later stages, but I do think you're giving up quite a bit early.
You are giving up a lot, especially some early game lane stats, unless you can get back to them with the TP and make some very fortunate recalls. But absolutely, having to deal with a Varus and a Zoe at 525 range is not the easiest thing in the world, and so going to be playing around that. The game is unpaused. We are ready to get back into this one. Game 3. Triple match point for Echo Fox. Will they grab their 3rd place victory? The best finish they've ever had as an organization.
Well, here we go again.
Years, and they've already forced a flash out of Apollo.
All right, Huni using that hook shot once again on the invade gets a very important summoner.
Yeah, I mean, that's a lot of kind of the pushing advantage gone, because it's so scary now to actually go up against a Tahm Kench. A Tahm Kench flashing on you with Ignite, if you get eaten up, if you do not have that flash to actually create distance, that can be a pretty powerful all-in. Echo Fox is just getting such good level 1s. It doesn't feel like Clutch is really prepared for it at all.
And I really got to say, that early game preparation has been massive. Every single game has had something substantial in under a minute happen courtesy of Echo Fox. Also want to point out that Huni has gone press the attack on Camille, so instead of going for the very, very typical poke-based Comet, he's going to try to find the all-in kills against Solo with his Keystone.
Yeah, and this is what he did last game as well. It's something that they like to do.
Ooh, Altec might have to flash. He's going to be stunned once, stunned a second time, jumps over the wall, heal burned as well. And that is actually an even better start. Now Adrian is going to burn his flash on top. And they're going to not find much more for that one. A quick Spire, and this time it is Clutch Gaming able to get a jungle steal. Of course, though, it will be answered as Dardoch is on red on the other side of the map.
Exactly. They're going to start opposite reds here. But again, Lyra just needs to be able to play in the early game. So they're getting the Skarner at least to start out on even footing here.
And he's going to get a bit of a leash there, which is pretty nice. But Definitely a very explosive level 1 again, and back to the top lane for a bit. It is more about going into the tanky matchups. If you do not think that you can poke your opponent out, press the attack becomes much more valuable in the long trades, in trying to run these guys down. And Comet is kind of more about playing against either swishy champions or tanks that are kind of more easy to push out of lane.
Also, you have to keep in mind, with them splitting the jungle like this, starting opposite red camps, Dardoch's possibility of ganking for that Camille becomes very easy. He's up on this top side already. Huni, though, is pushing the lane in, so it puts Solo in a very easy spot where he can just hold the minions at his turret defensively, and he's not really in danger of being dove. He's an extremely tanky champion.
And this is exactly where you actually want to try to hold it. If you can slow it right outside of your turret range, the minions will continue to kind of stack up and push towards you. It won't bounce back so quickly, and you're going to have access to pretty easy farming. So pretty nicely done there with the wave management from Solo.
You can see a couple of trades going back and forth. Is Dardoch going to be grabbing this top scuttle as well? No problems. Equal camp so far. Both junglers have finished 4. Skarner still on the bottom of the map. Very low on health, though. You might expect a fairly quick recall after these wolves are done after this. Cannon minion going to be knocked down. Still a farm lead for Huni. Wave clear back and forth in the mid lanes. This one matchup in the very early game actually a bit more equal than it's been earlier on so far. So EchoFox not with those same crazy early game leads that they've had in the first 2 games of this series.
Yeah, and as you're saying, the bottom lane, since they were able to chase down Altec in that level 1 kind of Spire fight and even up the AD carry flashes, that has allowed Clutch Gaming to actually continue with pushing on bottom side and trying to get EchoFox on a different foot.
Yeah, it's also so hard to actually threaten any all-in with Tahm Kench without summoners, because he doesn't have any move blocks. He cannot, play like Braum and W to a minion and try to Q them and these sorts of things. The only real hope then is your opponent's all-in and kind of overextend into you.
And well, Skarner's on the top side of the map, right behind the turret right now. Looks like there might not be a real gank out of Lyra, but he's waiting in case there is some kind of play to be had. Also want to credit Dardoch for better pathing. He stole away Krugs, and that did not happen on the side of Lyra, so there's a camp, maybe 2 camp lead. Courtesy of EchoFox's jungler via the early game pathing, and he's now on the Krugs, so that will be the full 2 camps up as the players now wait for their next round of jungle to respawn.
Yeah, and Lyra doesn't lose out anything by going for this setup for a counter gank, because he's already cleared his entire jungle, and he was just waiting for an overextension, a possible Huni Dardoch attempt at trying to take down his solo laner. Doesn't show up though, so he just walks out and is going to continue to look for opportunities here. He did walk over, I believe, that Tri-Brush ward though, so EchoFox well aware.
These mid-lane matchups are pretty interesting to me, because there's a lot of these matchups, people talk about Zoe and LeBlanc and these sorts of things as being pretty advantageous against the Azir. But because Azir has such incredible wave clear and such strong push, if you cannot actually be the one to push Azir in, he kind of neutralizes so much of it, because you're under your turret. He doesn't give you the opportunity to trade when you're kind of forced to farm.
And he's always fine with skilling up to later in the game.
Yep, late game team fights for Phoenix's Azir, something we know about very well. That champion, of course, very good. Meanwhile, on the bottom side of the map, though, a pretty substantial farm lead for Clutch Gaming's side. The auto attack range difference of 50 between Varus and Kalista, certainly meaningful on this. 200 gold lead for Clutch overall as a team. Except when we again watch him farm back and forth in the mid lane, finding some poke towards Phoenix. Already used his first teleport to get back to lane as well. Phoenix has not yet recalled, so 2 Thorns rings to 1 in this one. Needs more mana for the one side. Phoenix, of course, wearing the cleanse as well, dealing with, again, a possible Varus, and no bubble gonna land this time around. Minions cleared back and forth yet again. Triple swords now for Huni. Double Doran's Blade plus the long sword. Pretty good early game items.
It's actually really cute. Huni there using the Volcanic Rupture, that kind of orange pillar, for the hook shot to be able to jump forward onto his opponent. So definitely something that Solo is going to have to be pretty careful about.
Yeah, I mean, he's got some tricky moves there, but Solo's happy to grind out the CS, and he does have a large minion wave coming towards him as well. So as long as he's able to last hit most of these minions, he should have a pretty healthy lead here as the Orange just tanking up and waiting for those team fights.
Plus, you always have to look at item progression, right? And kind of who is moving more quickly towards those key items. And when Huni is going to be going back for kind of more lane pressure with the double Dorans, that really does slow down the Triforce. We're almost 7 minutes into the game. Last game, he had a Triforce at 10 minutes, right? He is nowhere even close to that sort of pace.
Things to be afraid of your EchoFox potentially, because They have not had that same kind of early game, and Clutch have been known as the better late game team. This slightly different style could mean good things, but now an invade towards the rope, no stun, but there's the ultimatum, and not a lot of places to go anymore. Orin joining the fray with a couple of knockups, and no Rebba gets to die, but Dardoch running out of health. The red picked up by Phoenix, I do believe. The knockback, the shuffle is in, and a cleanse as Phoenix runs away. Looking at the next shot, not gonna happen just yet, and now another pause comes through. Huni typed that one in. Not sure what the issue was just yet, but in the middle of a fight, as it wound down, got a quick pause here into this game.
Hopefully we can get right back into it, but a pretty big fight over the red buff there. It did look like it ended up going over onto Phoenix, but a lot of flashes actually forced Phoenix having to use his flash, Dardoch having to use his flash, and only the one summoner really having to be committed there by Lyra. So we'll see if anyone can get chased down.
Yeah, a couple of misses there as well. Hookshot missing, Sejuani ult missing.
Yeah, that was a big one.
So maybe we'll see what happens in the aftermath. Regardless, though, this game completely different from the rest of the series that we've seen so far because of the adjustments that were made. Much slower early game, and Clutch have a lot better chance to actually stabilize and play what we're used to seeing from them.
And that's a good sign for their fans, honestly, figuring out that okay, they have found with the Olaf bans and having a reasonably passable level 1 where they lose Apollo's flash, but find a way to get advantages back onto their own lane and burn 3 summoners from their opponents. They managed to find an actual decent spot right here. You got the game stats now up right there, 300 gold lead. The best Clutch has ever had in this series, I think, just flat out period. So that's a little bit of a nice thing for them. They just have to worry about the fact that, again, Phoenix's Azir is going to be a source of huge late game power.
And you were talking earlier about how the best placement as well for a lot of the players on Clutch Gaming that they've ever had.
Right. So Jat was talking in the analyst desk after game 2 about the sort of pedigree and what has happened with these players, and there's a ton of experience on Echo Fox overall. The only player on Clutch Gaming who has ever finished top 4 or higher in anything on the pro tier is Febiven. He's got a bunch of top 4s in international events, a couple of EU LCS championships. Solo has won Challenger twice, and this is his first real split as a player. Lyra played a bunch of splits in the LCK and NALCS, 5th, 6th highest he's ever done. Apollo, same deal. He's been relegated before, back on Coast in summer of 2013. Hakuho fought in pro relegation as well, made playoffs once with Envy. Like, none of these guys have ever played in a venue outside of their normal home arenas. And maybe some of that pressure was showing in the first 2 games.
It is really nice to see, these group of guys coming together and having success, and especially all the people getting behind Hakuo's Thresh play, and then recognizing Solo for his top lane selfless play that we've seen from him, and the accolades are coming through for these kind of rookie guys.
Yeah, I mean, I think it has really been a lot of improvement for Solo in particular, too. He's a guy who has really impressed me. They've kind of found out what works, what doesn't for him throughout the split. And really, I think building upon that, it's definitely something where this team has a lot of room to grow.
And of course, it's a team on Clutch's side that had been, I think, perennially underrated. It's funny, every couple of weeks I find a new player that I feel like, maybe this guy is underrated. Hakuo was the big meme for a while. I think everyone now fully respects him as a great player. This is only, I think, his 4th split in the LCS so far, but he's been looking good. And then I remember talking with Sebastian Park, who runs Clutch Gaming for the esports side of things, and he's like, I think Febiven is like the most criminally underrated player. He calls him like the best player on stage here today. He talked about that on Hotline League last night, where he's like, no, he's better than Huni, he's a better player. Febiven is my guy, and how is he not known as the #1 mid laner? Because he is this person. Then also I feel like Solo he got robbed of getting a real rookie season because he had to sub 5 games in Echo Fox when they were having roster issues back in 2016. And he's in a league with like Someday and Huni and Impact and some greats, and he is a completely passable top laner, in my opinion, an actual rookie, though not technically, doing just fine in a league full of giants. And that's impressive, and no one gives him the props for that, I feel like.
I think over the last couple of weeks, there has been more and more talk about, how he has been this kind of a pretty stalwart presence in the top lane. But it's also tough, right? Because you list off all these big names in the top lane, these people that he's playing against, and those are the people that are naturally going to get more attention because it's rarely Solo dominating. It's him kind of surviving and holding on without help from his team. And he does that very, very admirably. And I think it enables a lot of their strategies to kind of be focused more on mid lane and bottom lane.
and it's going to take a lot of work for them to get further. Because as much as an accomplishment as it is to get this far, like Huni said, you have to keep trying, you have to keep aiming for the top. And Echo Fox, you can see, very happy about how they're sitting in this series. Definitely some early success. One more to go, and they could get those champion points and that ticket to Rift Rivals.
It's funny, too, because I think at a certain point you get a sense for how good your opponents are. I think back to the feature done on Liquid versus Echo Fox, or maybe it was Liquid's Squad documentary where they talked about their semifinal series, where Doublelift was saying, yeah, we knew Echo Fox wasn't that good because they won game 2 too slowly. They didn't win well enough. We know we're better. Like, this series is free at this point. And I'm slightly embellishing and slightly paraphrasing, but that was the thought coming out, where at a certain point Echo Fox can be like, yeah, I mean, with how much we stomped, like, there was no concern at all in this series. Even if it's 300 gold down, like, we know we have better mid game, we know we have better late game, we have better macro, we have better players. And sometimes that does come true, and you can play low stress, play comfortable. That was the win condition to start this one out, is play your game Echo Fox, and maybe you're the favorites.
And while I do agree that they can kind of give you a lot of confidence, at the same time, I don't think that these games, I mean, especially game 1, has been that big of a margin, right? Game 1, I was looking at that, and when we had, Azir hitting 2-3 items, and we had Caitlyn already at 3 items coming up on a Last Whisper, that was around the point where I think Clutch could have started to actually take over in game number 1. They took one ill-fated fight, that snowballed into a mid inhibitor, they lose some kills there, the game ends, right? And had they not taken that one fight, that could be, a tied-up series.
Yeah, I think game number 2 leaves a big mark in people's minds. The recency and the speed. That was actually our quickest North American LCS playoff game ever, I believe.
Yeah, I mean, it was a stomp.
So congrats
absolutely.
on that speed run.
It was almost as fast as the Canada-USA.
Ooh, very similar timings and similar top lane difference, or jungle difference, I think, maybe, what it was in that one. Either way, guys, looks like those pods will continue for a little bit longer. We're going to toss it back down to our State Farm analyst desk to talk more about this series as it unfolds.
Thank you very much, gentlemen. We get a moment to take a breath here in this crazy fast series as the refs are investigating a possible bug with Camille in that most recent skirmish. And so while we allow them the time to fully investigate it and come to a conclusion, we get some time to talk about the series as a whole. Actually, here we go. We're going to take a look at it right now.
And essentially what they paused for is when Huni gets knocked up here, even though you don't see it in Spectator, he thinks it might be a later knockup, but he thinks he was knocked up for an extended period of time and therefore missed some of his spells. So that bug that occasionally happens where you're knocked up kind of into the sky and don't get to move? It's not on Spectator. That's why they're checking Huni's computer specifically.
Yes, exactly. I'll clarify. It was that little knockup that you saw. Of course, our spectators showed it in that way. Huni's computer showed something else. It is supposed that he missed 2 auto attacks in a queue in that time. So while they investigate that, we'll figure out what the ruling is. In the meantime, I want to talk about the fact that, hey, well, one, Zyrene's back on the desk.
Hey.
So, hey, welcome back. And then two, let's talk about the fact that the Olaf ban came through. And so already we're seeing a less lopsided early game than we were in the previous 2.
I don't think it was just that Olaf, though, right? They actually played around that, and they protected Lyra's jungle, and then they actually kind of clapped back at him and said, all right, we actually need to invade and kind of stop the bottom side, too.
There's definitely two factors to it, right? So, like, they got the flashes of the bot lane, which was something that was allowing them to roam and do all this other stuff. But once again, it keys off the Olaf ban, and that's why it's so painful to watch game 2 and been like, that whole game could have been avoided if you either, like, took the Olaf or did one of these other, like, things that we were saying, because maybe you feel a lot more confident in your level 1. If you have the Olaf, you aren't going to get trained down. You will be the one doing that. So that kind of snowball effect that would come from having the Olaf or not would be a factor.
Yeah. All right, well, I've just received word that Echo Fox has elected to accept a chrono break to 6:55 game time, which will be before that team fight. And so again, though, I do want to close our points here just on the analyst desk around the way that Clutch has adjusted their play here in game 3. But even so early on into the game, nothing's yet determined. So they still have their work cut out for them if they want to turn this series around.
Yeah, and even with Clutch Gaming being able to not get 3-buffed on Lyra, Dardoch still had a farm advantage. So he is ahead in this game and still looking to press an advantage. But the difference here as well is the bottom lane with Kalista will have worse late game skilling they've had the entire time, and Ornn into Camille is a better matchup than the Cho'Gath into Camille, so Huni may not run away with this one. I think they are positioned to potentially extend the series.
Where does that Kalista come from? I mean, all of a sudden we're foregoing Caitlyn, the highest priority pick. Like, I don't understand where that, when it's already been proven that they'll play Caitlyn in previous matches.
It's hard to really know because we're not there. And
I want you to know, Mark.
They're the only ones doing it. What do you want me to say? It's a champion that obviously Altec feels extremely comfortable on. It does still bring a lot of utility beyond, like, it's always at its height when it's lane dominant. And it's definitely not lane dominant quite what we saw anymore, but you have the ability to save your support. You have the better objective control with the stacks. There are still a lot of things that Kalista will do, even if her biggest strength kind of got hit down a little bit.
Yeah, and even looking at Echo Fox's drafts this series and how quickly they found victory in games 1 and 2, it makes you realize how difficult it is to draft as a coach. Because we think they gave up too much for the Olaf in the first draft. Wow, they gave up Azir and Caitlyn, and other teams will tell you that that's too much. But Echo Fox wins with it.
Right.
So is that now a smart decision because it gives you victory? And I think that Kalista is probably something similar. Like, they win with Kalista. No one else does it. Caitlyn is objectively a better champion, but they win with Kalista. So is it a better champion for them? And if it is, then that actually just makes it a better champion, full stop, in their situation. So it's unique watching Echo Fox draft because I feel like they listen to their players' strengths and tendencies more so than other teams do with the Nami pick, with the Kalista pick, with what Huni drafts, with their Olaf priority. Very player-focused drafts.
And I think this game has become mostly about the top side of the map. The series has, at least, especially for Echo Fox, where they're playing around Phoenix and they're playing around Huni. When you draft the Kalista, I believe it's Summoner Spellbook, so you can take Teleport, you can take Cleanse for safety, you can actually help the rest of the map there. So I feel like that's what the bottom lane is doing now and saying they're going to contribute in other ways as opposed to just bringing damage because everybody else is.
And I think that's really important to point out because when Echo Fox were looking their worst towards the second half of the season, teams were camping Altec and Adrian. And even in this series, you've seen a couple like weird deaths, but the fact that there's so much pressure elsewhere on the map allows Altec and Adrian to focus more on roaming and making these other plays where they look great when they're doing that. So I think this series so far with that Olaf and some of the other early level 1 plans has allowed their bot lane to do what they want to do, and the rest of their map is rolling.
And Zyrene, doesn't this just fall in line so beautifully with Huni's history in the NALCS and losing semifinals and hard smashing third place matches? And on Camille of all things, right? He's kind of going back to that carry style here.
Yeah, and I feel like when you end up having a series, you go, okay, we kind of misunderstood a champion like Trundle. We over-prioritized a champion like Ryze that got countered by Cassiopeia. You change some draft things, and then Huni comes in. He's like, well, you know what? Let me just help the team as much as possible and go back to that superstar status, give him the carries, allow him to actually have a large open part of the map. And Dardoch, I think, has just been playing out of his mind this entire series, and it isn't even all that much about Huni. He's kind of like on the back of Dardoch in his backpack right now.
Right, and granted, Dardoch is playing meta champions, Jap, but once again, I got to return to this idea that he is on fire in this series and that it is very much revolving around his play. And so even within this game, now that we've seen the picks come through, the Olaf was banned, where does Clutch find an edge against Dardoch? How can they corner him and put him in a lose-lose situation where they end up taking a game?
It's fights like where we just see this pause.
Okay.
Right? That's an opportunity to maybe turn it around. If they can get the red buff, if they can dodge out the Sejuani ultimate, I believe their 655 in the game may have been right before the fight.
It's before the fight.
So they essentially get a duo on that one. And that's potentially a game-shifting moment. You see we have 0 kills on both sides. It's a 300 gold advantage so far in the game in 7 minutes in. So it's an even game, and Clutch still has good late game with the Ornn as well as their bottom lane. So basically continue to do what they've been doing. They're actually trying to slow Dardoch down this game when they failed at it in the first 2.
What's really interesting for me, though, is that like when a player gets on fire on a certain champion style, they have to learn to kind of reset what they're doing because you're not on Olaf, you're not in a massive tempo advantage. You can't just run at them like you've been doing perfectly for the first 2 games. You're not in that situation. You're playing a team fighter in Sejuani. You need well-coordinated plays with this champion, and it can be tough when the first 2 games go so dominantly a certain way that you have to pull back. And hopefully he does that because it looks like he's done it pretty well. We already talked about the small jungle advantage he's built for himself. So it does seem like he's adjusting correctly.
Yeah, and I think even if whatever champion he's on, if him and his solo laners are just synergizing better and they make it there first, it's just going to be overall a better invade to happen. And I think that's what they've identified is that Clutch. They're a little bit slow to actually react to these plays, so that's why they keep making those plays, and I think it's been working for them.
All right, well, here we head right back into game time. 6:55, so we're tossing it back to Free for the call.
They're going to be fighting for the red buff. Here comes the Ornn ultimate. This time they dive in towards Lyra, and they're trying to pop this Skarner. He's going to heal with the smite, and First Blood still comes through. Now Dardoch cutting away. A knockback keeps Solo out of the fight, and a potential stun makes Seven run away as well. Looks like round 2 went a whole lot better for Echo Fox. Red buff in tow, First Blood as well, and Solo, it's going to be rough for him. He's trying to find somewhere. A big shot comes in, but not the auto attack. Solo cannot get the kill. Dardoch just barely survives. 2-0 Echo Fox.
That's why the first time around we mentioned so big, the skill shots missing, the hook shot missed, the Sejuani ult missed. This time around, Lyra got chain CC'd.
Yeah, and they're able to jump straight on him. full commitment. And honestly, after the remake, knowing that they're all there,
Solo.
I'm surprised that Lyra went in so fast.
Yeah, but Solo just whiffed everything entirely. That was not even close to where it was, and whiffing the ultimate that badly, that would have turned that fight around. It might have been a kill instead of Lyra dying, and who knows what that follow-through would have been. That was huge.
I mean, you honestly have to kind of ask yourself, what is the mental state of Clutch right now? Because that felt like it was a very misplayed fight. And not only the Solo missed skill shots, but the fact that Lyra charged right in 1v3 while his teammates were roaming. If you play that more patiently, allow Solo in time to get in place, Feb in time to get in place, then you go in with the Skarner ultimate, like that could be a world apart as far as the difference.
Now we watch the bottom lane though. Of course, Tom Kench makes it a bit easier, but Chain CC coming through does have the cleanse, didn't have to use it. Gets tossed right back out, courtesy of Altec's ultimate. And so, yes, Summoner's down, but they are alive.
Chain crowd controls and Chain saves. They have Devour as well as the Callista ultimate to save them. However, they still took a beating, and you take damage while you're getting hit with these CCs. So the pushing advantage once again over to Clutch Gaming, and the bottom lane is going to shove in, forcing out a teleport switch here from the Summoner Spellbook.
That means Adrian gets XP once again, and he's going to be close to 6 himself. Altec was pushed out, but he's actually reasonably healthy as most of the damage went for the other side. And now Phoenix wants to make the big play, knocks him right back in, and Dardoch is here. Nice pickup. That was beautiful. Goes to point of origin and gets him that kill, 3-0.
Phoenix sees his opportunity. No Zoe's coming right back to the R location. Dardoch slips in, doesn't even have to use the ultimate there, so he can cruise up on top and use it there.
Yeah, I mean, Huni has his ultimate. I think Solo's just dead here. There's no way he's getting out.
He's going to be stunned, has no way to return it around, so shots come in. Quick shield does not matter. A quick backflip, and Huni finds another one.
And just like that, I mean, they're off to the races again. 4 kills, all on the top side of the map. These guys are snowballing the game, and it feels like Clutch is just kind of a bit out of it. I mean, really nice play to set this up here from Phoenix right into Dardoch, but then you know Dardoch is coming on the top side of the map. Why is Solo pushing heavily into that?
Yeah, one of the cases where so many things went wrong so quickly. Looked like they kind of lost track there, and Echo Fox just jump out to a big lead.
2,000 gold is the advantage right now. In the late game, not obviously better on Clutch's side either. Bot lane is an 11 farm lead, but that's about it. There gets his jungle. You can see the gold individually across the marks. 800 gold top side, 1,000 in the jungle. That's most of it here. And we get another quick pause. Looks like Phoenix is the one to submit that one. We'll see what it is. This quality control will tell us soon enough.
Yeah, Phoenix and Dardoch having a chat with the ref there, so hopefully not going to be a big issue, and we can get right back into it. But Echo Fox, a commanding lead coming out of that pause. 4 straight kills, all on the top side of the map for them. So Huni and Phoenix out to a big lead. And you know, if you have really strong solo laners in this setup, it means Huni can win the 1v1 against Solo. It means Phoenix is going to bring enough damage in those big team fights, and that's really a lot of where the win conditions are.
And if Huni's winning that side lane split push battle, Clutch Gaming's only option is to try and force elsewhere, but they have an Azir, Callista, and Tom Kench to disengage here, so it becomes very difficult for Clutch Gaming to try and take that avenue as well.
They got to find where that comeback's going to come through. Of course, the heavy saves in the bot lane and summoners up everywhere else on the map, basically. Hard champions to kill, and they'll hope to find the pick somewhere, though, as we wait to see what it is that Phoenix is pausing for, but ref's still waiting around, and see what comes through shortly enough here. And I just kind of wondered then what Echo Fox will then be doing, because they've had 2 sub-30-minute victories, basically, and they've been the early game leading team. They've been the aggressors here, and I want to see where the next pressure is going to come through. There's halfway opportunity force on the top side for Huni. Sheen done, plus most of Phage. He'll be ready to keep that pressure going shortly enough. You've got to believe on this one, as Phoenix gets close to Nashers, and Warmogs will probably be next up for Dardoch. Just adding to the inventories and waiting for the next big play.
And I think the pressure just continues to go to the top side of the map. You have Callista, Tom Kench on the bottom side, double unsealed spellbook. They can kind of just hang out on their own, TP back if they get too far behind, try to just hold turret basically and get as much farm as possible and snowball the top side, because you already are ahead. Camille picks up a couple quick kills, and the more you get that kind of 2-0 mismatch, it gets to the point where Solo cannot even hold the turret. And when that happens, the game falls apart.
I definitely agree. I mean, they've got one of the most self-saving bottom lanes that you can have with the double summoner spellbook. Both of them being able to use abilities to save their lane compatriot. But we'll see if the cooldowns can be abused, because Apollo and Hakuo did make some headway down on the bottom side of creating those plays, getting some cooldowns blown. So maybe that would be an option for Clutch Gaming to try and turn it around.
And maybe they'll get them picks. We're seeing nods from Phoenix. Maybe that's going to be a sign of good things to come. Have not yet heard still what the pause is about, so I'm sorry I can't update you on that one just yet, but maybe still a bit more of a wait here on this one.
And we'll have to see, if Febvin can really start to kind of create any picks, because that feels like one of the big avenues for Clutch, right? If he can actually get out on the map, if he can start controlling vision, because that's one of the big prerequisites really for Zoe being able to find those sleeps, but that would be something that would be kind of beneficial to them getting back in the game.
Okay, we got some information here. They were complaining that they could not see the summoner spell change that Febvin used his spellbook for to the cleanse here, but they've been notified and they are willing to play through it.
All right, so now they know there's a cleanse in the Zoe in the mid lane, and watch out for Sejuani ultimates courtesy of that one. But with a 2,000 gold lead, Echo Fox, yeah, should be in a pretty good spot for this. We'll be getting back into the game very soon, and hopefully their nerves can hold strong. I do want to correct myself for something earlier. Apollo had gotten to 4th place finishes on Team Impulse back in 2014 or 2015, so he has been on this stage before, but it's unfortunately for him been losses from back in the day. Either way, though, still certainly a lot more experience, a wealth of it on the Echo Fox side here on the blue team, looking to make that a 3-0 victory.
You've got to say some good signs, though. I mean, Febvin at least is laughing. He's still looking happy. Solo definitely looking a little bit more serious there. But it's nice to see the team when they are down to still be able to joke, to still be able to kind of boost that morale, because that is so important to being able to battle back.
It actually reminds me of seeing Febby between their games versus TSM, and he was just so optimistic. Even after the first game where they got blasted, he was like, yeah, this is the time where we're going to deny TSM their finals appearance. We're going to be the ones to break their legacy. And I saw him again after the second game, and he's like, only 2 more to go, boys.
Yep. And of course, that proved to be true. It was a 3-1 victory, a full 3-game sweep after losing game 1. Honestly, if this does go the way it has been going, where Echo Fox has been the superior team, and we sing the eulogy of Clutch Gaming here, and their spring split ends tonight without anything to show for themselves any further, it's still the best, one of the best runs these players have ever had. It's still a new org making top 4. It's the first team to ever take TSM out before the finals. Like, that is still a very good start to a season for these players. Solo, who is practically a rookie, and Lyra, who's finally having some good performances as well. Like, this is a very positive run for Clutch, even if it does end in a 3-0 tonight.
Yeah, definitely the case, and you have to remember that it's all building towards summer. It's all building towards Worlds, and being one of those top 3 teams to represent your region at the biggest tournament.
All right, we are now investigating another bug. We've gotten more information now. Solo has vision of a bush. They're trying to restart his client and see if we will fix that, if it's real or not.
Everything is good to go. It looks like we are finally getting back into the game. So.
Beautiful stuff. The client reconnected work. We're seeing the lowercase letter R in all chat, and that means ready in League of Legends. So the unpause is coming through. 3, 2, 1, into the video games, ladies and gentlemen. Febvin's beautiful face will be off your screen shortly, as it's now the greenery of Summoner's Rift.
It's a good thing it wasn't a longer countdown. That's as high as we can go.
I was actually going to commend him for not making a pirate joke with the R spam that we just saw, because usually he jumps on
Equally
those.
impressive. Equally impressive.
You kind of made the joke for me, so I feel like it still happened.
Teamwork.
Teamwork. Thank you, Kobe. The high five happened, even if you didn't hear it. And now we are back onto the Rift. A lot of pauses into this one, but looks like we are ready to keep playing League of Legends, as Phoenix waiting in a control ward, hoping to find something cheeky to do. Dardoch snuck through on this as well. And Febvin, see how far back he is, hiding away from what could be the play. The flash for the knockback, and they're going to find a little bit more, but he had the flash to pick up. So Febvin trying to kite for some time, and he just barely survives courtesy of sleep, and Lyra does not go for the impale. I believe he had it up, but didn't want to make that happen. Dardoch tanky enough now, and going to be taking Raptors with a level lead.
Yeah, they don't even get the summoners out of Febvin, so really patient play there. It looked like he actually picked up Phoenix's flash to get out, so nicely done.
One of the big things there was Zoe. Good use of the W, picking up the flash, using that to escape. He even held on to the cleanse because they never got the stun off. A lot of damage, though.
Now a lot of damage looking for the top side, but the minions are gone, so it's going to be a pretty hard dive. Can Solo survive the output? He might just get Huni, but the turret was on Dardoch. They take it through. What a great kill top side.
Very intelligent dive this time. They let Huni start it out, tank first tower shot, then he drops the aggro with his ultimate, and Dardoch, the Sejuani, is able to pick it back up, plenty of time for them to finish off the tank as well as the turret.
And I want to see Dardoch just give up solo gold. We'll see if he does. It's going to just be shared. Either way, still a big influx of gold into their pockets. And we'll see if Huni is going to have enough to actually go back and just finish his Triforce straight up.
Dark's the kind of guy who will smite your cannon minion for you. We go off the dive again, and yeah, in we go. First shot in for Huni. Immunes the second shot with the untargetability as well.
Yeah, it was just honestly really well executed. Dardoch with the point blank ultimate, making sure he could not miss that and finding more plays.
Good by Dardoch. Stands in the right place, and over the wall goes Huni. No catch to be had. Shelly a bit mad, but she's going to walk away, and no sleep. Pretty close, actually. Only a little bit away from Huni.
But they got the red buff, right? So that's a red buff on Huni. He's going to go back and buy, and he's going to be massive. And now you have this situation where Solo is likely not going to be able to really continue to match him in this 1v1.
Yeah, this is rough for Clutch Gaming. They had just gotten their Rage Blade completed on Apollo. Big spike for Varus, but now it's going to be very difficult because they have to worry about teleport coming in from that Fed Camille. There's a huge level lead here. The Trinity Force is completed, and he's got a lot of threat.
And as this game continues forward with the gold lead looking really quite nice, almost 4,000 for Echo Fox, we can look forward to what look back at what they've done this split, look forward to what they can do in the future. Certainly the best result Echo Fox has ever had. As an organization, they found an entirely new roster. Rick Fox took a risk with a couple of players with hot heads, but managed to find a great synergy across these players. A lot of talent on some of these young stars, courtesy of Dardoch and the like, and off to a really, really good first split of the new roster.
Yeah, one thing they definitely all have in common for Echo Fox is the drive to win. Intense competitors across the board, and they're showing it here once again. 5-0 now to start.
And I mean, a tremendous amount of talent as well, right? Dardoch hasn't always found the success, but no one would argue that he doesn't have the talent to find that success.
Yeah.
Huni as well is a guy who has won across the world. He's won in the EU, he's won in Korea, he's been to the World Finals, has immeasurable amounts of talent, and Phoenix was always so good in the past. And if they can kind of get that team working together, if they can really find the picks for their bottom lane to be stable, then I think they can replicate a lot of the run that they had in the earlier parts of spring and become one of those top teams.
I absolutely agree. That's going to be a possibility for them as Huni comes back to his own lane. And of course, we'll be seeing more of Echo Fox in the summer split, as all these teams will be. They're, of course, had a pretty good run in spring on both sides, but we'll also get to see Echo Fox in the middle of the summer split. Playing in Los Angeles, I do believe, but playing at the Rift Rivals tournament against Europe. Huni will find his old teammate in Reckless there.
Whoa, 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 game's not over.
If that happens,
Okay.
if they win the series, finishes the sentence.
And he's got his other old teammate Bevan here he's playing against.
Yep.
So definitely a lot of talent on that old Fnatic squad that has kind of gone their separate ways and may meet up once again.
So we're back into this game as it stands. 3,500 still the lead. Echo Fox yet to get a Drake so far. It's Cloud, unsurprising, they're not even trying for now. A very quick Quicksilver Sash out from Dardoch, wants to make sure he's okay in this. Now a leap forward as Huni's gonna get a really solid trade. Solo gets chunked down, but now there will be a bit of a re-engage. Huni has to flash to get out of that one because Lyra would have certainly capitalized. So that is a flash down for Huni.
All right, Clutch Gaming have gotten the flash down on one of the very fed members, but it looks like mid lane.
Ooh, crucial flash out of Heaven. That might have been a kill, and now the pull back in. Some pressure, but the minion is still holding aggro. They finally get the damage. Phoenix will fall. 1 on the board for Clutch.
Yeah, and I mean, Phoenix trying to go for that dive. He knows his jungler is at the dragon. He knows his top laner is back in base, and he's going to get punished. So Clutch getting something back.
Huni wants it.
Ooh, and he gets away from all of it. One more shot to do him in, and Huni finds himself a solo kill.
Jumps right over the Sleepy Trouble bubble there and is able to finish off the kill. So Huni, in addition, able to find one more while the team takes up the dragon.
Here's the play one more time. Phoenix trying to pull off the dive. Bevan with a really nice early flash, though, avoiding the shuffle, and that in combination with the fact that Lyra is there means they can clean this one up. But Bevan, getting a little bit greedy, decides to try to stay around for one more wave, and Huni finds his opening.
Boom, right there. Hextech Ultimatum jumps right over it, finishes it off pretty easily under turret, and an Echo Fox right back out to it.
Phoenix gets his blue buff without any worries, back to wave clearing duty, but he's got, for looks like the third game in a row, a pretty significant farm lead over his opponent. Better KDA as well. Clutch Gaming hoping they can find that late game mojo, but have not found the advantages. A farm lead in bot lane, that is it to show for themselves.
It really hasn't been Bevman's series. It's a guy known for really having so few deaths. He's always has really strong performances in lane, has a very good KDA. He's always performing in team fights, but he has been picked on quite a bit in this series, and Echo Fox is kind of showing that he is exploitable.
No exploits there. Looks like the Raptors get taken no problem, and the red buff to follow through. Echo Fox just taking more and more, and once again, the jungle belongs to Dardoch, no matter where on the map.
Yeah, gonna have to continue to play off the fed lane. He's got a 4-0 Camille. You definitely want to use that to your advantage. Go with the invades and continue to pressure up there. Meanwhile, on the bottom side, Clutch Gaming trying to play to their strength where they've got extra tower pressure here, and it is close to getting whittled down.
That might be a sign of something. Of course, first turret gold is already taken, courtesy of top lane and Huni via Echo Fox, but with maybe a bit of pressure, Clutch can get 650 gold their way and start turning things around, but it'll be a long road.
And if you can kind of knock down this turret and unlock Solo from that 1v1, maybe you can make a lane swap, but fight in the middle.
Oh, that's so much damage, and that is a straight-up solo kill. Phoenix burn to cleanse, and now Lyra wants back in, looking for the play. Will pull him into turret range, and will it be enough crowd control? A flash out, and the re-engage Dardoch is here. A double kill for Phoenix. Now on the top side, it's going to be another kill. Just kill after kill. Echo Fox destroying everyone.
Oh, when it rains, it pours. The top triangle here from Echo Fox. Solo laners getting kill after kill. Tower goes down, and the onslaught continues.
Echo Fox is going to march down mid here. Dardoch's taking all the bottom side jungle. They take the top turret, they knock down the mid or outer turret, and they're looking for even more. Just honestly, so much non-stop aggression. Clutch trying to get something back.
Re-engage towards Adrian does have cleanse. Also, Kalista has an ultimate, so they'll buy as much time as they can. They'll wait in the gray health and actually flashing forward to try to get the kill into Hakuho. Keep in mind they can go for a lot with Ren. Now on towards the front as Apollo's running low on health. And now Dardoch here to take the turret. They'll get that kill. Even the bot lane now showing up for some credit.
They're just winning across the map now. I mean, that was kind of the last bastion there for Clutch, was that bottom lane. Losing now on the top side. They're taking everything at once. I mean, take the turret, take the Rift Herald, take the kills, take the farm.
When you can pull off 3 objectives at once, then that is definitely a sign that you have too much control in the game. They are forced off of the turret on bottom side. Huni does finish up the Rift Herald though, and they've got the minion waves pushing to their advantage as well.
One bright side for Clutch, though. I believe we saw the patented Captain Flowers butt wiggle on the ultimate there from Lyra. He actually did the little spin around to get the extra range on that Skarner ultimate.
Lyra can twerk.
And I think that's the first time I've actually seen that used in the NALCS.
Well, that's good. If only Captain Flowers were good enough, then he'd show you that every game.
You might want to explain it for people who haven't listened to Captain Flowers there.
So what it is when you're actually ultimating someone with Skarner, you're pulling them back, and they come behind your character. So if you actually turn your character frame around, and you switch the way that you're going, you can actually spin them behind your character at the very end of the ultimate and essentially gain some extra range.
Yeah, it moves a longer distance than you could walk in that time. Here's a replay and another look at the bottom lane play. Hakuho tries to get both of them with the ult. I believe he clipped him on the end there. Regardless, Tahm Kench, fully stacked passive, jumps in for the Devour, and they're able to buy some more time for Dardoch to get down there.
And when you're engaging into Tahm Kench, it's so easy for him to get those stacks, and he is so incredibly powerful if he can get them off. But again, Echo Fox in full control, looking so dominant here tonight in Miami. They still have the Rift Herald. I mean, Huni can just knock down this one, drop Rift Herald for the tier 2.
Or he could save it for some style points and dance at the end at the Nexus explosion.
And the way the series in this game especially been going, that is completely reasonable and the kind of thing Huni would do. Not only as just a player style thing, but how much they are winning right here. So possible engage in the mid lane, Dardoch one hit from being stunned, but now we get to see Solo under the turret, and that might not be enough for him as Huni puts in the shot in and certainly wins that trade despite the turret shots coming in.
Yeah, you can see how big the true damage chunks are.
Oh, that is 1.5 million damage, and there's going to be another knock-up, and he puts the ulti down to drop aggro, go back for the fight, but yep, has to jump right back out. The Ornn knock-up not going to be enough. Solo trades the health bar pretty equally.
But once you have the Ravenous Hydra, you can trade so aggressively because one minion wave, you heal basically right back up. You can continually trade onto the tank, and The fact that Solo is this far behind, it's so hard to even hold your turret.
Yeah, that's exactly what's happening. Huni healing back up on the Camille, staying around and keeping the pressure on the bottom side while everyone else focused up on top, and now he's taking some chunks out of the turret itself.
Look at just how much damage comes through, and who can even duel this incredibly fed 5-0 and 1. And now, of course, a 22-minute attempt towards this Baron. And guess what? You've got a Blade of the Rune King on a Callista. This is not going to be a difficult one to secure. Hako going to come in. They're going to look for some kind of minor miracle. Lyra in a 2v1, and it's not enough to do anything about it. No! Steel going to come through. Nice attempt, though, by Febiven. The Baron picked up a 22-23, and now with even more powerful minions, this Huni push is going to go even better.
Yeah, I mean, with the Baron buff up now, the Rift Herald's still available. The Dancing Herald looking like it's actually going to time out pretty soon. So, I mean, Dancing Herald could be a reality here on a Baron push.
Yeah, if you've never seen that as well, Rift Herald will do some break dancing if it is alive at the enemy Nexus when you win the game.
That's the win condition now for Echo Fox. If you don't do it, the moral victory goes back to Clutch.
That's the kind of trade you're looking for.
The score says 3-0 asterisk. It didn't have Dancing Herald. So that's the, yeah, as you're mentioning, is Sale, the trade they want. I got his ultimate. Well, at least the Herald died. You know, that's the best thing you can hope for. But now, maybe more attempted fights. They're going towards the backhand side. Clutch. Oh, it's a flash forward, and he doesn't find a target, it looks like, as Altek able to flash away himself.
Yeah, Clutch Gaming have to take any tiny opportunity that they see. If there's an opening, gotta go for it. Because right now, Echo Fox are closing in, and they are losing every single turret.
Gonna have to summon Herald. That's gonna time out very, very soon.
Yeah, he actually, did he drop it? Or okay,
he's doing it out of vision, so Solo won't get him. All right, moment of truth. I don't know if it's gonna be enough though. Echo Fox.
I don't think so.
Yeah, well, either way, they are looking so incredible. I think it's a 3-0 run. Shelly will drop now. A hard engage towards a fairly squishy champion on this side of the map. The Ornos that comes across. They find that knockup. He's got no flash. Took that down for a while. The second kill of the game goes through for Clutch, but their base is in shambles. Top and mid going down.
That's one of those calls where they're like, all right, our new objective is just kill Huni. Everybody go for the kill, and they were able to get the Camille. 2 inhibitors are lost in the process,
Here's
though.
the 4v5, the guilty pleasure, and it's gonna be enough to Elite One. Looking for the next kill. It's Evan running away. He's running. The slows are there. Phoenix looking to make it another one. And now onto the Nexus turret standing alive. The rest of Clutch Gaming huddled for safety and warp. 3 versus 4. Echo Fox trying to close it down. Solo in the front line finds the knockup. They go for the knock back there. And this is going to be Lyra dropping another one. Now onto the Nexus turrets. That's going to be 1 dropping. Now 2 versus 4. Solo might try to stop him. Hakuho might as well. Diving in, looking to take him down onto the fountain, not quite getting the kill, but the turrets are still falling, and there is no way left to stop this. A 3-0 sweep. Echo Fox will take 3rd place and be the final representative at Rift Rivals.
What a dominating series from Echo Fox here, and North America will be proud to have them representing us at Rift Rivals.
Definitely the case. I mean, if they can put on that kind of performance, they're looking very, very strong. And Echo Fox bounced back so strong from the semifinals, where they have been on this downward trend. They seem to have kind of found something that is working for them.
They really did, and it was a lot of different styles as well. They won with Huni on tanks, they won with Huni getting snowball leads, and they won with Dardoch having a ridiculously strong first 2 games. Even the 3rd was pretty solid. He seemed on point there as well, was in there for the counter ganks. But I mean, those are like some 2v8 hard carries in those first 2 games. Him and Phoenix just bowled over their respective members.
And it was really, really impressive. And the crowd very appreciative here of the Echo Fox team. But Clutch also putting on a good performance this split. You know, reaching forth a new organization, coming together, you know, finding improvement throughout the split, and taking down TSM before the finals, something that has never been done before in the NALCS.
Definitely quite an accomplishment there. Huni still climbing, still trying to get that goal of hit #1 in North America, and he's got another split. Looking forward to summer to try and do it.
And he'll have a date in the middle of summer with a showdown against Reckless as well to see. He already took down Febiven, right? He got one of his ex-Fnatic teammates, so Reckless is next up on the docket, and that'll be fun in the middle of the summer split. We'll bring some European teams over to LA, and that'll be a fun showdown as, of course, this is Echo Fox now joining 100 Thieves and Team Liquid as the NA representatives against the likes of Splice, G2, and Fnatic. So that's something to look forward to, absolutely. Otherwise, it is the end of the spring split for both those teams. We'll look forward to them in summer.
Yeah, and it's going to be interesting to see how they can build upon this, right? They get the championship points as well, gives them a little bit of a springboard moving towards Worlds.
Yeah, they've also been ones that have battled with different patches and tried to overcome a lot of different things. So excited to see what we can get from them.
And we'll see what comes through into this one. And we have a few more seconds to talk about how this matchup had gone down. Honestly, just impressive. A team that, if you got no context, you're like, did this team just hit meltdown? Because like the last couple weeks, they subbed out half the roster. Demonte comes in, Papa Chow comes in for Adrian. And this is after people were kind of maligning their bot lane for doing badly. And it's like, wow, they're just subbing players out in like the last final hour. This is the Echo Fox meltdown. We called it from the beginning. It's going to happen. Here comes the decay. And, that was the worry. And then even Phoenix had a really bad semifinal series as well against Liquid. It was like, okay, this is the meltdown. See, they can't even win playoff series anymore. And to bounce back so convincingly, I thought was very heartening. Clutch looked very good. A close series against Hundred Thieves, a win over TSM. It's a good opponent win.
It definitely is, and I think also it's important. You called out the subs. The fact that they won with their starting roster, I think, is important for building confidence in that, restoring some of maybe the lost faith because of some of their struggles in the second half. So definitely going to be ending the split on a high.
Yeah, I think it is definitely a positive trend when we see teams building and putting more effort into these extended rosters and having more available players. Huni, though, is always going to be the #1 name here, as far as you can hear.
I think we're going to have an interview with him. From what I heard from the crowd, he seems to be on stage. And now to hear more from today's victors, let's send it down to Echo Fox's all-team NALCS top laner and jungler.
Thanks, guys. I am here with Dardoch and Huni. Guys, congratulations on your victory. And a pretty dominant one at that, 3-0 clutch. I got to ask you guys, how confident were you coming into today?
After we lose semi-final, I think we actually fixed a lot as a team too, and also there was a lot of kind of draft problem. So it feels like we had a lot of confidence against us CG, which is like we also had practice before we play semi-final, and then we knew that they're not a better team than us. So definitely, like, we have so much confidence in it.
Dardoch, you confident?
Yeah, pretty much the same as Huni. We played CG and 100 Thieves primarily before we played TL in semifinal, and our scrims were pretty one-sided versus Clutch for sure.
Now, kind of in the first two games, you had some phenomenal performance in the jungle, basically making it so that Lyra couldn't really do anything. Where do you think that Echo Fox excelled today?
Say that again?
Where do you think Echo Fox excelled today?
I think our preparation was really good, and because of the draft, I could do a bunch of, I guess, unique clears as Olaf starting in his jungle. And due to the fact that, I mean, in the first game we had Talia, so he couldn't really answer, and the second game I think he just played bad. But yeah, I think my team helped me a lot in the early game, getting me these leads.
Great. Well, you have a wonderful team at that. And over the split, it seems like you guys were growing and kind of meshing along with everyone. So compare your performance today in the third place match to maybe your performance throughout the entire split. Huni?
Yeah, I mean, it's not about happy actually being in third place. It's like 3 times in a row. But still, there's like summer split, which is like more important for us for the World Championship. And then also we secure for Rift Rivals. So like, I'm really, really excited for Rift Rivals too, since it's in LA. I hope you guys are actually watching a lot, cheering for LA team too. I mean, definitely time is gonna be, Rift Rivals is gonna be like proof that, NA better than EU. Hell yeah.
I mean, we are, but Dardoch.
Yeah, double check, We are, but double check.
Anything to add?
No, I mean, yeah, it's obviously not as fun coming here for third, fourth, but I mean, it's still an opportunity to show that we're a strong team, and I think we did that.
Well, you guys do have Rift Rivals ahead of you, a chance to gain some international experience, and Huni, for you to take down Reckless. Any thoughts going into that?
Yeah, I think my crowd wanted me to say easy,
GG, easy. Gentlemen, congratulations again on your victory. Back to you guys.
Thank you very much, Obli. Not the match they wanted to be playing in this weekend, as you heard from Dardoch there, but a crushing victory, the 3-0 sweep over Clutch Gaming to prove that they are a good team and to move on to Rift Rivals, represent North America as the 3rd team in that international competition.
And doing it with a very different look this time around. Obviously, the Sejuani is a big change. We already saw the Camille, but this time getting the Azir as well. Just an all-around different look, but still executed very well on it.
Yeah, I do want to talk a little bit about like Huni's 3rd time as a 3rd place finisher here, because I think what happens is he comes into semifinals and his team has an off day. It's that any given Sunday type thing. They get taken down. Before it was by TSM at the start, then it was Cloud9, and now it was TL. And so every single time it feels like they come into the 3rd place match and you're like, wait, this team actually shouldn't be here. They play better than that when they're playing on their game. And so it's finding consistency is the big thing for Huni as a player.
And I think finally at the end of the year, we got to see the scrim teams that people were talking about. They're like, Echo Fox, they smashed scrims. And then Clutch kept saying that they're losing scrims, but somehow this magic happens on stage. And that ran out today.
Yeah,
and then Echo Fox continued to smash them.
We saw Rick Fox getting set up on stage for an interview, a big smile on his face, and very much deserved. And again, this points to this idea that Echo Fox, for the entirety of the split, was questioned as a team in their mentality, in how they would rebound and where they would collapse. They showed some resilience here at the end of the split. Yes, they lost their semifinal, but to bounce back and kind of refute some of that criticism thrown their way.
Yeah, and I think collapse wouldn't even be the right term. This was a team that there was a drastic meta change on 8.4, and that felt like when things started going south, and they figured it out here. It took them a while, obviously, but they pretty clearly demonstrated that they are one of the top teams in North America now.
Yeah, it seemed like back to basics, right? Dardoch, play around your solo laners, bottom lane, just do not die. And Dardoch is just all over the map. Great synergy with Huni and great synergy with Phoenix, and it comes up in this whole entire series over and over again, and they're able to just take it 3-0.
I mean, again, throughout the playoffs, we were talking about a bot lane focused meta. Well, Fox decided to turn that meta on its head and take it to the top side this entire time.
Yeah, and I also do think one of the missing pieces for Echo Fox in the midseason was Phoenix. He played really well in this series. He had a 100 CS lead on Febby in Game 2, and also had nearly solo kills onto Febby's Zoe in this Game 3. So they always have that winning top side. They were better today, but also having the winning mid lane really unlocks the team.
Another beautiful gold graph in a 25-minute game. I can't wait for our over-under check-in coming later, because that's going to be a very lopsided one in and of itself. But again, you know, with such a fast series and such an explosive finish for Echo Fox, it's almost, you know, it's going to raise a lot of questions around what this team will look like come summer. Again, with this win under their belt, you know, do they keep the same roster? 2, how do they, as a set of 5 personalities, continue to push forward and improve?
Well, I think for Echo Fox, like, you keep this roster. They showed that they're able to crush a 3rd place match. That means they're a top 3 team, and then it's pretty much if they're playing well on that day. But for Echo Fox, I think this is huge for them as an organization, because they had never made playoffs before at all, and then they come in this split, making some great changes to the roster, and then it ends up working out for them.
Huge strides for this organization this year. We have another interview ready on stage, so let's send it back to Avali and Echo Fox's owner.
Thanks, guys. I am here with both Stratton and Rick Fox from Echo Fox. Rick, this has been an incredible victory, not only for Echo Fox League of Legends teams, but for the organization in general. The team going from never qualifying for playoffs to making it to the top 3. How happy are you with this victory?
I never knew 3rd place could feel so good. It is amazing. It is really amazing. I would be remiss if I didn't wish 2 other people were here today right now with us. That is Ahmed and my son Kyle. 2 people that have been there from the beginning. Stratton has been there from the beginning. We are looking across to an amazing esports community, a league community that is out here in Miami. What do you think, Stratton? Should we move to Miami?
I'm thinking Miami. I like Miami.
This is amazing. Our players, Huni, Dardoch, Phoenix, Alltech, and Adrian, all season long have been fighting to improve day in and day out, day in and day out. We've had highs, we've had lows, but man, I tell you, they zoned in today. They played the type of,
aggressive.
Yeah, I mean, they played who we are. They really showed up and they represented who we are. Jared and I talked about it. We talked about it all game. This is just who we are. We're an aggressive team, and so I'm really grateful that you guys came out and supported us and supported. I do also want to take a second though to let Dardoch also know that we love him. All of us love him, and we're here with him. This is going to be a great weekend for League, but it's also going to be a great game tomorrow, and we're so proud that he's still here to be with us today, tomorrow.
Wonderful, wonderful. And I mean, speaking to the improvement of your team, is there anything that you and Stratton would like to say to your players?
What do we want to say to our players? We are Echo Fox. Stand tall, be proud. That's what we've been striving for the last year and a half. Become one of those organizations that people talk about when you talk about the dynasties and the great organizations in sports, not just esports, all of sport, like he was with our Lakers, right? And like we're going to be for the next decade.
Yeah, it's been an amazing 3 years. Yeah, it's been an amazing 3 years growing as an organization, but being welcomed into this community by all of you and watching our brand grow with amazing partners like the Yankees that are here today and so many other people. I see Khalid, I see the Deshis, I see people that have been there from day one. Haley, who keeps it going. These are all people that are the backbone of our organization. Our coaching staff were amazing this weekend, and it's not easy to bounce back. We had a difficult loss to a really good team, and tomorrow 2 great teams are going to go at it. The beauty of it is that as exciting as it is right now here, it's the spring split. This thing builds and builds and builds. Summer is right around the corner, and I can't wait. We're still trying to make it to Worlds, and we still want to win a World Championship. So we're not going anywhere.
Not going anywhere. I am excited to see where Echo Fox ends up in the summer. Both of you guys, thank you so much, and congratulations. Back to you guys.
Thank you very much. Obviously, some very compassionate words coming out of Rick Fox before Doublelift ahead of tomorrow's series. But the entire interview there, I mean, it touches back on a point that you brought up earlier in the day, Jad. It was around champion select, but I think it expands. This idea that Echo Fox found themselves. They returned to their identity, and even if their identity isn't considered to be the best way to play League of Legends, it's the best way for them to play League of Legends, and they showed it here today with 3-0.
Yeah, we talked about it a little bit, how like what other teams would look like this in North America. And I don't think there's any team that would smash a series quite like how they did it here. It was one of the most dominant performances we've seen.
Reminds you of first half Echo Fox,
oh,
right?
Yeah, first
they
half.
lost themselves in the middle, and then at TL series, they had draft issues. Like Hooney even said it on stage, where they felt like that was the big problem, was draft issues. And then the rest of the team is saying, all right, let's just play our own game, get comfort. And I think that comes down to the coaching staff, and they made the right adaptations for the series.
I mean, pointing out the fact that there's an entire organization behind those 5 players that performed today, and looking towards that summer split with aspirations towards Worlds and perhaps an actual finals victory of their own. I'm excited to see what this team is capable of based on the way that they showed up today.
Yeah, I think it's going to be an incredibly competitive summer split. If Echo Fox is able to commit to their style and then come back up against a hungry COG, C9, TSM, the teams we're used to seeing at these finals weekends that were not here. And I do think, even though they did find themselves, those were defensive AD carry drafts. Like the way they had to ban the Zyricon bottom lane every single time, the way they completely ignored it for the most part until the game was basically over. That's a telegraphed playstyle that Clutch wasn't able to punish. It is the way they found victory, but if they do want to win the World Championship, as Rick Fox says, they got to clean that up.
Without a doubt, and while we kind of reframe back to this series as a whole on the big stage, the entirety of Echo Fox made the trip to Miami worthwhile by bringing home the W, but one player was an absolute madman. So Dardoch will earn Player of the Series.
I don't think this is a surprise to anyone who watched these games. He was an absolute beast on the Olaf pick the first 2 games, running over the early games with the support of his team, and just playing with, like I said, a tenacity you don't often see, flashing on top of anyone who dares enter both quadrants of the jungle.
And this just has to be a resounding amount of affirmation for Dardoch, because he has gone from team to team. He has been kicked off of rosters. He has been toxic and talked about his past where he didn't fit with teams. And now he's got Player of the Series in the biggest match that Echo Fox has ever played off of him synergizing with the team and carrying.
Yeah, he had a Players Tribune article a couple weeks ago talking about what he's learned as well, trying to harness that energy that he always has and understanding the impact he can have on his teammates, both in the negative and the positive. And looking at the player cams, he definitely had the positive energy today. He was constantly almost up out of his seat, like looking at the rest of his team, talking to them, really getting them on the same page. And it was working really almost better than we've ever seen it with a Dardoch team today.
And I think to some degree, that's going to be the continual challenge for this team, right? It's not that they've completely removed the personalities conversation from the identity of their team. That's going to persist as long as these 5 players are on a roster together. But it's about narrowing in and building in those safeguards so that they don't fall off the tracks as often, and they kind of keep that straight and narrow and keep pushing forward.
Definitely trying to incorporate their personalities versus straighten them all out or
Yeah,
something.
you don't want to segment them, right? You're not trying to separate them out and make them people they're not, but you got to find a way to get all 5 of these guys to work together and understand what makes each other tick.
Definitely why I'm looking forward to seeing them in international competition as well, because like that aggressiveness, I want to see that out of North America on any sort of international stage. Rift Rivals to start, and if they go to Worlds, great. I would love to see a team that's performing like that at Worlds.
I mean, of course, we did see the 3rd place matchup in EU finish today. I mean, just as a gut check feeling here, how do you feel an aggressive team like Echo Fox might fare on an international stage where a lot of times we see people
Week 2?
slow down?
Week 2 NA, please. I think they would be great at destroying that Week 2 NA meme, because I don't think that they wouldn't adapt or anything like that. They feel like they would go all out.
Unfortunately, I got a few questions. Is it a carry top meta?
That's a really good point, right? I mean, we didn't need it here.
Like, yeah, they won today against Clutch, but I don't think that means that they can succeed in a bot lane focus meta.
Unfortunately, I'm not clairvoyant. What are your thoughts?
Conqueror's coming out in terms of patches.
So it'll be like
So
that
6 months from now,
Well, so Hooney's already doing it on a non-conqueror patch with things like Camille. It should only aid him as we move into something that could be abused against tanks in that top lane. Now, looking back at our over-unders from the beginning of the day, I want to see how the 3 of you rank. First up, we had Hooney's isolated deaths that we were tracking. We put the line at 2.5.
Oh, what are you guys doing?
You said over. Zyrene, you said over. And in actuality, there was 1 isolated death in a 3-game series
Is that his
out
only
of Hooney.
death, too?
Yeah,
it may have been his only
pretty
death.
sure. I don't know.
Yeah, it was 5 people going after him. So
It was his only death as well. I just received confirmation. So, he's got a mark.
Egg on their face.
He played really well. Like, that's the thing. Echo Fox had so much map pressure that there was never an opportunity for Clutch to collapse on him. Like, the whole reason that I would have bet over on this one is I also predicted Clutch to win the series. And in that world, Hooney would be getting iso deaths, but they completely smashed them today.
All right, moving on to our second over-under. It was average game time at 36:30. The actual average game time?
Oh, yeah.
25.
Take the headset off. You're done, dude. You're done with the day. It needs a refresh.
It wasn't even close.
Take a nap.
It's 11 minutes below the
Oh
over-under.
my God. I mean, now I wish we had chosen a different number, or even asked you guys to spitball what you thought it was, because I bet when you said under, you didn't think this far under.
I wouldn't put it 10 minutes under the estimate.
Listen,
not even close.
I think our stats people make good over-unders.
They do.
They
put a lot of work into it.
They base it off of all of the previous results. They try and take into account the patch, all these things, and it put the over and under at 36 minutes. So the fact that Echo Fox won in 25 shows how much they exceeded expectations today.
I just got a you bet your ass.
From the stats, dude.
Oh, yeah, I did. All right. So, hey, our third line was total kills in this series, 67.5. And for a 3-game series, we had a fair number of kills, but it didn't quite make the mark. We had 58 this time around.
Hard to get over that many kills when you're ending games at 25 minutes. There's not very many team fights where you're getting like 6-kill fights and both teams are trading out equally. That didn't happen at all.
I wonder if this is the kill per minute record in a series or something like that. Again, we'll verify that and find that for you later on, perhaps. Now, we want to take a moment and return to the chrono break in Game 3. We heard the community feedback, and there was some concern among fans that it gave an unfair advantage to Echo Fox. So we're going to share the shadow play of what Hooney saw and why the chrono break was offered.
Yeah, so this is his view. I'm seeing this for the first time, and basically...
Yeah, you're just like, where am I?
He's gone.
Oh, whoa.
Whoa.
He was disappeared that entire time, and anyone who's played against knock-up champions for a substantial period of time playing League of Legends, you probably had that bug where your Alistair pulves you and you disappear. And I think a lot of people have gone through that, but just based off how our spectator client didn't see that bug, there was that confusion.
For clarity's sake, that was directly pulled from Hooney's computer. And while I want to reference the game time and where it was resumed, because there were some questions around that as well. So regarding the time where the game was resumed, league officials always restart the game at a dead ball state prior to the bug. And both teams were aware where the game would resume. Now, it was a small moment in a rather lopsided series, but we did want to offer total transparency over that call. Moving on from that, though, again, we can't let that overshadow the dominance of Echo Fox throughout this entire series. And by the same token, I think I do want to dive into a little bit of Clutch Gaming. Again, this is the team that eliminated TSM from the playoffs, went on and played a really close 5-game series against 100 Thieves, and then today, it just wasn't there. And I guess that's my question. Are we looking at stylistically, that this team, didn't have what it takes to take down Echo Fox? Was it preparation? Where was the failure today for Clutch Gaming?
I think there were a couple things. Lyra got completely outpathed by Dardoch, and a lot of that was Dardoch, but there was a lot of blame on Lyra as well. And Febby, who had an MVP candidacy for most of this year, was just beaten by Phoenix in a lot of 1v1 situations. On top of that, they tried to make aggressive plays when they're in defensive positions. Like, they had a whole host of problems. They were not the same clutch that we saw for the whole year.
Yeah, we were expecting them to play around bot lane with Hakuho popping off like we were seeing in the previous playoff series. He was non-factor today, complete non-factor. He got outroamed by Adrian. The bot lane in that final series or final game had a bit of a winning matchup and didn't really translate that into a big advantage. They didn't even take the turret. They got destroyed before then.
Yeah, and Clutch really didn't play to what I consider their team win condition. They kind of tried to match Fox on that top side of the map, and that's what Dardoch was checking, was the synergy of the solo laners with the jungler. Boom, Dardoch comes out on top. But even in Champions, like, you look at Clutch and you're like, they have Tom Kench 2 games, and then they have Braum. Hakuho was not on a champion that he won the TSM series with, and he was able to get them to this place by actually having those pick champions and having a proactive one instead of something that's going to be defensive in this bottom lane.
Either way, a 4th place finish for a brand new team in our permanent partnership, spring split here. It's still a phenomenal finish for Clutch Gaming. I do imagine all 5 of those guys will hold their heads high at the conclusion of today.
And you heard some of the casters talking about the lack of stage experience. Take this opportunity. You finally played in front of a big crowd. Take it into summer.
All right, well, with our series today, we now have the 6 teams competing at Rift Rivals back in Los Angeles. Those are 100 Thieves, Team Liquid, and Echo Fox, who will defend North America's title against Fnatic, G2, and Splice. Looking at these names, looking at these titles, Zyrene, you pointed out at the top of the day that we're going to have 3 new teams defending the title that was won last year.
It's going to be a completely different look for North America. And after this result, I want to see Huni go up against Reckless. I want to see him go up against Europe. And like you said, just double check that NA is greater than EU.
I like how we're doing with new orgs, too. We're like, yeah, we sent our 3 best last year. Smashed you. Here's the new guard. They're going to smash you, too. It's a very, NA way of proving how dominant we are.
Very much so. And, of course, our final weekend is not over yet. Make sure to meet us back here tomorrow where 100 Thieves and Team Liquid battle it out for the title of NA LCS champion. The broadcast starts at 4 p.m. EDT, 4-game, or following the EU's broadcast, whichever start time is later. So remember that. But looking at that series tomorrow, let's give a brief preview of what we're about to see. Former teammates in Doublelift and Afromu. Doublelift looking for his 3rd title on a 3rd team. There are so many things that are going into this best of 5 that we're going to see in about 24 hours.
Oh, there's so much experience from everybody across the line here. And even you talk about former teammates, Cody's son with the Immortals guys on the other side, right? There's so much here to actually unpack. But these guys have so much experience across the board in finals, in top of the table matchups, that these guys, when I look at when the last time they won something for some of them, it's like 4 years ago, 3 years ago, 2 years ago, but they've all almost won something in the past.
Yeah, stage jitters shouldn't be that big of a problem. Maybe for Cody's son, that's the one guy that you would consider it, but as you mentioned, veteran experience, and it's going to be a great game.
Either way, tomorrow we will have a new NA LCS champion. So for myself, the casters, and the entire live broadcast crew, thank you for watching, and we'll see you tomorrow for the growing, or rather the crowning, of the Spring Split champion. Good night.
We didn't go over predictions?
Hello, Miami! We kick things off with 2 teams who fought against the naysayers all split long to get to where they are now, and both of these teams would love to end their split with a victory here on stage. Please join me in welcoming Echo Fox and Clutch Gaming.
And Dardoch finds the Dan for the shuffle back in. Look for a double kill, and he's going to fight the 2 of them. Team fight now. Solo ringing out pretty rapidly, trying to kite away, but he will drop. And that's 2 kills already for Echo Fox.
Turret!